think about women in long gowns walking down the runway. And who wouldn't? I mean, Miss USA, Miss America, these are the most anticipated events, the walking in the evening gown. As audience members though, we like to pick out our favorites based on the evening gown too, right? Who looks the best in these gowns and who does not? In a state or national pageant, things tend to change there a little bit. You are now competing with the best of the best, and your gown needs to be absolutely impeccable. If your gown is not helping you at this point, it's hurting you. Now, Jaanai and Mariel were not competing in a national or in a state pageant at this time. However, we did know that this pageant was going to be pretty competitive, so we wanted to make sure that the gowns were also on par. When you are looking for a gown, you want to take these 5 things into consideration.
Although I go over 5 things to take into consideration when selecting a pageant gown during my online pageant training course, for the purpose of this video, we will only be going over the following 2.
Number 1, what is my body type? We need to get a gown that favors our body type. Number 2, pick number 2, my lord. Number 2, number 2, what is my skin tone? Your gown absolutely must go in accordance to your skin tone. I definitely felt that Mariel's gown was going to cost her some points because it wasn't flattering her body the way that it should be at this level of competitiveness. The color was amazing. I love the color on her, but the gown itself was just too small. It still looks like it's really tight. I can see your skin folding.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this area is the one that you're gonna want to get reinforced and tightened so that this isn't the only thing that's like holding the dress. But I think that this being open is fine. I think we can probably even tuck it in a little bit more so that it looks like it was like intentionally meant to look kind of like a V. Forget about what you think looks good and picture what looks good on you. What makes you look better. I don't feel like this gown is doing it.
Well, I honestly love it. I love this dress.
Okay.
But I was thinking like maybe my extensions will be long enough to cover the folds, and when I'm walking back, my hands could be on so they don't see that crease.
Okay. Jaanai's dress was a completely different story. Jaanai actually bought 2 dresses and she converted it into 1. So the cape that she wore wasn't actually a cape, that was a train of a different dress. I love the creativity that she brought into this pageant because she wanted to make sure that she had something unique. Number 1, the color looked fabulous on her. Her skin was glowing and she looked amazing from head to toe. And then the gown itself, oh, adored it, loved it. Roses, roses, roses. The only thing that I would have changed about Jaanai's look is the updo. Because she was competing in a teen category and you want to look as youthful as possible, your hair down is usually going to help you look more youthful, keep that youthful appearance, as opposed to an updo. I did notice, however, that she had an updo for the Miss CoverGirl pageant when she won, and she felt more confident in an updo. So, I mean, girl, if an updo is gonna help you feel more confident, then by all means, get your updo. So both Mariel and Jaanai had very unique gowns. Jaanai's was a creation of her own. Mariel's gown was designed by a really awesome designer in Mexico. So the gowns themselves were very unique and they had a lot of personality to them, which is great because when you're in a very, very competitive pageant, you don't want to get anything that looks like it was off the rack, right? You want to bring a little bit more pizzazz and personality. I definitely felt that these 2 girls had gone out of their way to show that initiative, to show that they wanted this title, that they wanted to win this crown. One thing that is super, super difficult to do is to be able to bring out your personality in such a limited amount of time, because you get a limited amount of time on stage and with the judges during the interviews. So bringing out that personality of yours onto a stage is incredibly difficult to do, but it's not impossible.
Somos humanos y todos somos iguales. Algunos más talentosos que otros, pero todos tenemos cualidades. Muchas gracias.
and it is a lot simpler for other people to do when they have a pageant coach that teaches them how to get their personality out there and all that good stuff. But the dresses help you bring out some of that personality. So when you go pageant gown shopping, think about your personality and what you want to bring to the stage. So just a few days before the pageant, something happened that made me extremely upset with Mariel. I was so in shock that I needed to take some time to step back and figure out, like, okay, what's going on? Because all I can think about at that moment was, how dare she? So I had called Mariel to see how she was doing, just randomly. I wanted to catch her off guard. Remember, I want to do this kind of like distraction training where practicing under circumstances of pressure usually tell you how you're going to do on the actual event. And she did not do well at all. I'm just giving her a little quick phone call, a quick phone call, and suddenly this girl's not making sense. I knew something had gone wrong with Mariel when the previous time that we had been rehearsing, she had given me all her answers perfectly well.
Be able to share that ability with other young women. I skipped a bar.
I know, but you kept going,
Yeah.
and it sounded well.
Okay.
And then on this occasion, none of the sentences that she was saying to me were coherent. Like, even when she was trying to explain to me, like, what was going on, I felt like she was brain scrambled and she just couldn't get the words out. And so whatever it was that was affecting her so much that she couldn't even put sentences together to explain what was going on. And so I had to stop her and say, hey, you know what, let's start this over again. Let's just have a regular conversation. Forget about pageant rehearsals. What's going on? She is not a quitter. She is a persistent young woman. She is very devoted to her dreams, to her goals. Something was throwing her off. I was gonna find out what it was and try to fix it ASAP. So basically what happened was someone that Mariel and I knew had predicted the top 3 girls, and Mariel wasn't on her predictions for the top 3. Meaning that she didn't think Mariel was going to be good enough to be on top 3, which understandable. I mean, you don't know Mariel the way that I do. You don't see her performing the way that I do. Whatever. But it really affected Mariel a lot. So much so that she was now performing so poorly that she really might not make it to the top 3. And that is a big problem. These kind of predictions happen all the time. And not just in pageants, they occur in sports as well, right? Who's gonna get drafted to this team? Who's gonna get drafted to that team? Blah, blah, blah. Get used to it if you're competing in national pageants, because it happens, and it happens often. They have 0 weight, so it really doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your score. Where it does start affecting you is kind of like it affected Mariel in this occasion. Like, it's kind of like a psychological thing. And I get that it's hard to try to avoid having things affect you mentally, but you gotta build that strength. You have to understand that regardless of what people say or think about you, you have to continue and push on. So that's the only thing that I can tell you about this. There's no other way. There's no way to stop people from having an opinion and sharing an opinion. You just need to not give a. The thing that made me so upset with Mariel was her reaction to these predictions, because I had already told her that I felt she was doing amazing, that, you know, she had already managed to accomplish so much.
I feel like I'm doing a good job.
You're doing a wonderful job. So, I'm really excited with all of your progress right now. When you're in the top 3, because you're gonna make the top 3. And suddenly, somebody that has very little to no pageant experience comes and knocks down my girl, like that. Like, they knocked her down like that. That was hurtful to me, because I felt like Mariel didn't take my opinion into consideration, or at least she kind of like shrugged it off and cared more about the opinion of this other random person much more than my own. Here I am doing the best that I possibly can to build these girls, and then somebody comes by and just says something random that wasn't even meant to be a hurtful thing. It's just an expression of their opinion, and then bam, like it just crushed my girls, and it crushes me to see my girls feeling so down. But if I tell somebody that they're doing great, it's because I genuinely feel that they are. I'm not going to lie to the girls that I coach with just to spare their feelings and tell them that they're doing amazing if I don't feel that they are. Just like I don't lie to my friends or, like family and tell them like, oh, you have such a pretty baby, such a cute baby. I don't tell them that. I'll say something like, what a cute outfit, or they look so happy. But I won't tell my friends or family that they have cute babies if I don't think that they have cute babies. So why would I lie to you and tell you that I think you're doing amazing if I really don't think that you're doing amazing? Like, I'm not gonna do that. Where there was only one person that I had told Mariel that we're gonna wanna keep our eye on, because she was already at the maximum age limit that you can be to participate in this pageant, meaning that she was the eldest contestant, had the most life experience, and she also had a lot more schooling than Mariel. That can add up to a pretty big advantage. But there was one person that I did say, hey, you watch out for her, but you do you, and you do your best. I felt guilty about it. I felt like I had failed her, like I didn't do my best with her. Like I didn't prepare her for this kind of situation. And I really thought to myself over and over and over again, is there anything that I could have said or done to help her deal with this a little bit better? And the answer was no. I spoke with Jaanai and I spoke with Mariel previously about a lot of stuff, and I feel that the building blocks were there, the tools were there. It was now up to them to use them. So I provided the help, I provided the guidance, but I can't fight their fights for them. No one can fight them for us. There's help. Yes, there's help. But we wield the sword of our own fate with how we choose to react to things and how we choose to deal with certain situations. Lately, we've seen an increase in the amount of people considered to be some of the most successful, some of the most amazing and talented people commit suicide. And it's very hurtful to me every time I see this happen. Because to think that someone felt so miserable, so defeated, that their only way out of that situation or feeling was suicide. It's just tough, to try to accept that from anyone. This may sound a little corny, but I do hurt inside a lot when I hear about terrible things happening. But especially when I hear about the terrible things that we do to ourselves. This is a tough one for me to share, but when I was 13, I attempted suicide. But as you can see, that didn't work. So, which is why I like to say that my greatest failure was also my greatest salvation. But if I can help persuade anyone, even just one person, just one, to not take this kind of decision, then I've managed to do what this series is really intended to do. To show you that life is as beautiful as you want to make it. That you have the ability to have a great day every day. Because every day you get to decide whether you want to have a positive attitude or not. You don't have to have gone through what I did, what I put myself through, in order to live a life of gratefulness, of happiness. You choose happiness. Happiness is a choice. It is a choice that you make every day with your daily habits. Do you have good daily habits? Do you have bad daily habits? These things are going to affect how you perceive life, how you are perceived in life. And so these things matter. These things are going to help you live a good life or not. Don't let the tears fool you. I lead a very fulfilling life. I'm not proud of it, guys, but I have forgiven myself for it, and for taking life, loved ones, my family for granted, especially my parents. I mean, I think about it now and I'm like, I don't know the amount of pain that I would have caused my parents. At that time, I was only thinking about myself and what I was feeling. I didn't think about them. From 13 to 30, life has been a complete 180-degree change. I'm so happy. I feel so fulfilled. There are so many things that I wouldn't have experienced, had I actually managed to do what I wanted to do at the time. Just the quality of my life overall has drastically changed since the time that I decided that I was going to change my habits. And life is just so amazing for me right now. I am having the time of my life, you guys. Like, I'm not in school anymore. I don't live with my parents, and I don't have a curfew. And life is amazing because I can buy all kinds of weird stuff with my adult money. They're all usually Harry Potter related or like Star Wars related. So I feel like the biggest reason why I feel happy all the time, or most of the time, is because I choose to be happy. Because I remember what it was like to not be happy, to feel so depressed, to feel so defeated, and it sucked. But now I make my daily choices that lead me to a healthier, happier life. And basically, you can just manifest happiness into your life by thinking happy thoughts first. Taking the actions of a person that would live the kind of life that you want to live. Little by little, like these small changes, you're just gonna have to chip away at your goals little by little, but you will eventually get to them. When I think back at my unhappy situation, my depression, I put myself into that position most of the time. Sure, like you're not able to handle or to dictate a lot of the things that happen to you when you're younger, when you live under somebody else's roof. But there's still a very big level of control that you have over yourself, over your situation, over your communication with the people that you are dealing with daily. And that plays a big role. And learning this took me a long time, learning to think differently from my previous I am a victim of life mentality to, hey, I have control of my life. I need to take control and responsibility for the things that happen to me, because I didn't get fat just, out of the blue. Like, I was eating unhealthy, I wasn't working out, and then I was getting made fun of because I was a big girl. That was just one of those things that affected me a lot. But I put myself in that situation, so there are a lot of other things that I can recall where I put myself in these bad situations. And it wasn't until I decided to change my habits that the situation changed. That the situation changed for me. You can choose to focus on the dark, or you can choose to focus on the light, the positive, the negative, whatever. Just know that whatever it is that you choose to focus on, that is how you will perceive life. That is how you will be perceived as well, as a negative person, as a positive person. And that energy that you're putting out into the world is the energy that you're gonna get back. Had I been successful in my attempt 17 years ago, I would have missed out on countless great memories and experiences. I feel blessed, even on the most basic, boring day ever. But you don't have to have gone through what I experienced. And I truly hope that you never do, in order to realize just how beautiful life is and how much you can will your life to be the amazing life that you want it to be. You have the ability to make your life amazing. Don't give up on happiness. It is well within reach, and it's just a few good habits away.